Some mountains don't just rise from the earth, they awaken something inside you. That I stood at the edge of Halong Bay as the mist rolled over jagged limestone peaks, those silent guardians rising from the water like ancient backs of sleeping dragons. Locals say the bay was born when a dragon descended from the sky to protect the Vietnamese people. It didn't feel like a legend, it felt like truth wrapped in fog. But what if that dragon never left? This is the story of Vietnam's Dragon Mountains. And the truth they still carry, that we live in a world obsessed with facts. But here's the thing, they don't always explain the whole story. In northern Vietnam, you'll find one of the most mystical landscapes in Southeast Asia, Halong Bay, meaning descending Dragon Bay. But this isn't just a travel spot with pretty views. These waters and cliffs hold an ancient story, one passed down by grandmothers, fishermen, poets, and soldiers. A story of dragons, invasion, and the soul of a nation. And that story still echoes in real places, real people, and the land itself. That I went to Vietnam chasing a view. I left carrying something I didn't expect, a legend that changed how I see history, myth, and home. Vietnamese folklore doesn't treat dragons like fire-breathing beasts. Here, dragons are symbols of power, protection, and life itself. And Halong Bay, it's said to be where they descended from heaven. The legend goes like this: centuries ago, invaders came from the north by sea. Violent, relentless. The Jade Emperor, moved by the people's courage, sent a mother dragon and her children to defend Vietnam. As they flew down, their tails carved valleys. When they opened their mouths, they spit jewels and jade into the sea, gems that transformed into towering islands and sharp stone barriers, blocking enemy ships. The dragon stayed. And the bay was named Halong, descending dragon. Now, if you stand at dawn in the right place, you'll feel it. The way the cliffs seem to move when the light hits just right. As if a dragon is still sleeping beneath the bay, protecting something we've forgotten to respect. That I asked an old fisherman named Bao what he thought. He just smiled and said, "Some things don't have to be true to be real." It's easy to get swept away in legends, but Vietnam's history is full of real wars, and the legend of the Dragon Mountains mirrors them eerily well. China invaded Vietnam over 1,000 years ago, more than once. Mongols came by sea. French warships later sailed these same waters. And during the American War, Halong Bay wasn't just scenic, it was strategic. Locals say the dragons returned each time, in some form. Caves like Hang Dao Go were used to hide weapons. Floating villages disguised resistance fighters. The mountains and water weren't passive scenery, they were active allies in Vietnam's fight for survival. I met a local guide named Lon who pointed to a jagged peak shaped like a dragon's back. We hide things in the land. Our pain. Our prayers. Our stories, she told me. The dragons, maybe. They're just a way we remember who we are. I wasn't planning to hike by Tho Mountain. But something about the name, Po Mountain, pulled me in. It's not an easy climb. You have to find a hidden gate behind someone's house, pay a small fee, and hope the trail hasn't been closed that day. But once you reach the top, the dragon wakes up. From above, Halong Bay is a living canvas. Mist floats like dragon breath. Boats become ancient warships. The limestone pillars twist and rise like spines, tails, claws. Legend says a king once climbed this very peak and carved poetry into its stone. He was so moved by the landscape that he left words behind, because photos wouldn't exist for centuries. That I stood where that king stood. I didn't carve a poem. But I understood why he did. Tucked into a quieter part of the bay is Qua Van, one of the last traditional floating villages in Vietnam. Families have lived here for generations, fishing, cooking, schooling, all on water. No cars. No concrete. Just bamboo houses, colorful boats, and the rhythm of waves. A woman named Hong welcomed me onto her family's boat. Her hair was silver. Her laugh, strong. She told me her grandfather believed dragons once nested in the cliffs nearby, and that they taught humans how to live with water, not against it. He used to say we are dragon-blooded. She smiled. That's why we survive storms. It wasn't romantic nostalgia. It was resilience. This wasn't mythology, it was a way of life rooted in balance, humility, and fierce protection of tradition. Not many tourists know this, but the legend doesn't end at Halong. Just northeast is Bai Tu Long Bay, and that name means the dragon's child lays down. According to lore, after the mother dragon created Halong, her children helped form Bai Tu Long. They laid down gently in the water, shaping the land with their graceful spines. This area is quieter, less crowded, but just as beautiful. Maybe even more sacred. There's a sense of peace here, a gentler dragon energy. I watched a father teaching his son how to paddle through the rocks. No music. Just the soft echo of water and wood. That day, I didn't need any legend to feel all. The land spoke clearly, without words. And I listened. The dragon wasn't real in the way textbooks want it to be. But it was real in every other way: the mountain spines, the carved caves, the ancestral rituals, the old woman's quiet defiance. The poems etched into stone. Vietnam's Dragon Mountains are alive, not because of scales or fire, but because people still believe. And in a world so obsessed with what's provable, that belief becomes its own kind of truth. You come for the views, but you leave carrying something older than time. The dragon never left, Lon told me before I left. It just sleeps. And sometimes, in people like us, it wakes. Before I visited Vietnam, I didn't think much about legends. I thought they were distractions, pretty stories for postcards and bedtime, but standing in Halong Bay, where the fog clings to limestone like ancient breath, I realized something: legends are how we remember what matters. Not just the battles and names, but the soul of a place. The pain. The pride. The poetry. Vietnam's Dragon Mountains aren't just a myth. They're a mirror. They reflect something in all of us, our desire to protect what we love. To endure. To rise, even after being broken. I'll never forget Hong's words as I left her boat. If you believe in dragons, you won't be afraid of storms. And maybe that's the real legend. If stories like this speak to something inside you, stick around. Because the world is full of hidden legends, and together, we'll keep them awake.